introduce yourself.
Hi, Michael. Worked with Road Valley Sewer Services coming up on 8 years now, and I'm currently running the TV trucks. And we have one out here for display. Pretty nice to see. Yeah.
It's good to put a name on the base.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we are very glad to have you here.
Well, thanks. Glad to be here.
Okay, consent agenda. I need a motion, please.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda as presented. I second that.
Okay, roll call, please.
Kate Harrison,
Yes,
Roger Tom,
Yes.
Mike Parsons,
Yes.
John Edwards,
Yes.
John Flynn.
Yes.
thank you. Okay, resolution 2422, providing assistance to the city of Central Point for Hanley Baseball Complex public restrooms and concessions.
Okay, we approved this last month, but I wanted to follow it up with a formal resolution, so that's what this is. And Nick did attach a copy of the service inquiry just to let you know how much
It was going to cost.
donation, which is about $7,600 in SDCs that we're paying on behalf of Central Point.
Any other questions?
I think we probably do need a motion and approve it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Motion, please.
Okay, I move to approve resolution 2422, providing assistance to the city of Center Point for the Hanley Baseball Complex, public restrooms and concessions as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Kate Harrison,
Yes.
Roger Tom,
Yes.
Mike Parsons,
Yes.
John Edwards.
Yes.
John Flynn.
Yes.
I know the city of Central Point really appreciates this. This project is going on, planning and everything else for the last 3 years. We had a grant or a donation from a citizen for 1.5 million. It was supposed to cover half the cost of the 7-field stadium. In the interim since then, the cost has almost tripled. Cost of the AstroTurf, engineering, to the point to where now the city is now doing it with the public works, the basic leveling. We're going to have 2 fields to start for the first year because the costs have gone so high. And thank God Little League likes grass fields and won't like AstroTurf. They brought the cost down somewhat.
Yeah, I don't want to.
I truly appreciate it.
Yeah, cool. All right, project updates.
Okay, Antelope Road, we have an approximate start date. Let's see. I think it's middle of October 15th, I believe. So we'll see what's going on. They don't have, the only thing that we've seen as far as submittals go is the pipe. So as you guys remember from last month, we paid the materials on hand for that pipe. So we don't have a traffic control plan or anything like that. At the end of the day, they're kind of rolling the dice because we just charge them LDs at the end of the project, which is about, I think it's, I want to still quote me on this, but I think it's over $3,000 a day. So yeah, that is what it is if they don't get it done. Jayco pump station number 2. Not often we get to give you guys cool pictures of the stuff we do, but unless you guys like looking at pipe trenches and stuff. This is our package pump station on the truck there, showing us picking it up. We're at that crane, dropping it in. What you're seeing there on the left, it looks like almost like a tea kettle.
Yeah.
That's the dry well where the pumps are actually currently housed, and the kind of cut up manhole where we're actually placing the new wet well, that's the wet well. So we're actually very, very little excavation for this project. It's super smooth. I mean, and then you can see on the, I believe the 4th picture there, all the guts that come with the pump station. It doesn't include the guy. We didn't order him. We actually did order him. We ordered him to come in and install. What he's doing is he's field installing the gravity pipe that's coming in. And so I recognize the guy from the last pump station we did like this. Because did you come do our greater one? He's like, oh yeah, I do all of them. So I don't know how many airline miles he has, but he's probably all over the country.
Oh, look,
He's
wow.
from Canada.
Wow.
They built these in Canada. He just routers a hole in there. And they have a sleeve that slips right into our existing gravity pipe, and then he takes and, he wets out all of this fiberglass, puts it on there, and it's like a manufactured. It's crazy how clean and nice it is in there. All stainless steel, piping, rails, attachments, everything. It's like really, really nice inside there. And
It
then,
won't stay that way.
no, it's kind of unfortunate.
These fiberglass manholes stay pretty clean.
Yeah, you can wash them down pretty easy.
Okay.
And then you kind of get the next picture to the left there is kind of an overall what that pump station is going to look like. Along with some of our folks that are working on it. So the next, you can see in the back with the hatches open, that's the wet well. Right in front of that, the circle there, that's the new valve vault, which is the same construction as the wet well. So super smooth, quick, easy installation. Pumps are up and running. TJ helped the electrician hook everything up. Was that last week? Friday? Thursday. Yeah, Friday. So it's basically the whole thing in about a week. Yeah, like 4 days.
A year of planning and design and in a week of.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, it's pretty impressive, actually.
Yeah, it's a really cool product. So
What's the life expectancy on these wet wells?
this one, I mean, it's fiberglass, pretty inert, it's non-corrosive, everything's stainless steel. Basically, probably as long as the city doesn't grow. Sure. I mean, I don't want to throw a number on it, but 8 years.
Not a whole lot of maintenance to it.
Yeah, and we'll replace the pumps. They'll have a serviceable life, but we average like 30, 40 years on the pumps. Ish, somewhere between 20 and 40, depending on the sewer that's coming in. So, but
Yeah, good looking project.
yeah, those ones are fun. They're visual, so it's fun to show them off. So, J353, very similar project, much smaller pump station. Although I might have to talk to Carl about that one if you saw my emails this morning. Yeah, about some of the growth that's happening in Eagle Point. A lot of the area that's in their urban reserve, they're looking at developing. Actually, there's no other location for it to go other than to get this little pump station.
Oh, really?
Oh, my.
Yeah, it's gonna take some money.
Yeah.
So there might be some more coming on this, we'll see. But then there's some definite interest in those areas. The city has to bring them into the urban growth boundary before they could, which takes some doing as well, but with current legislation, it might be a little easier. Anyways, more to come on that. J362, the 4th Street Railroad Crossing abandonment. Our tech Craig, I believe, has got the design looked on that one. He's gonna give me some plans to review here pretty soon. We've been talking our way through it, but I think we've got like a pretty close to a deliverable. Cummins stormwater facility in Talent. Hopefully we'll have some really nice pictures for you guys on that one pretty soon too. Most of the underground infrastructure is in. The rough grading is done on the facility, and they've started putting in some of the topsoil. We had to make some minor changes to the facility because it's the old Walmart parking lot. I call it the old Walmart parking lot, but it's Cummins facility. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the area. It's a giant parking lot, and it's pretty steep grade. And when it rains, the water just rips off that. Yeah. So Maverick gas stations was going to come in, put a Maverick gas station in between the Walmart and our facility, which is going to break up some of that flow with curbing and piping and stuff. That deal has since fallen through. So we had to put in some curbs and some curb openings and concrete downspouts for all that water to come in. So we had to just kind of shift gears a little bit. It's pretty minor at the end of the day, but we will have a small change order on that to just add to the project some asphalt and rock, curb, that kind of stuff. Glenwood stormwater facility, no movement on that, and SCADA's working good. Yes. Day by day. And it has been working pretty good for a week at least. So, and then the UV disinfection plans we reviewed and sent comments back, on the 90% plan. And I'm thinking we're probably gonna see some contract documents from the consultant pretty soon to work through. Okay, go.
And that project, the plans have been submitted to DEQ for approval, and once they're approved, then we'll be ready to sign the blank papers on that. So next month, I'm gonna come back with another resolution authorizing us to accept the loan and finalize all that. So that's moving. We're probably looking at construction starting in April.
Okay.
Mostly because we got to shut down half the plant to make it work. Yeah, so we want to wait till those kind of subside.
Yeah, that's it for my report.
Okay, thanks, Nick. TJ,
We have a spill, it's gonna be detailed later. We got the cleaning crew flushed over 11 miles of pipe. They've been focusing on some troubled lines and roots. They got that finished up this month. Michael and the TV crew did almost 8 miles of pipe, so that's good, they're on track. They covered the pump station shade go to, it's running really well, so, first week. So we're good, we still have to hook up the mag meter and report some flows and few minor touches, but that's good. Both the plants, nothing to report on an operational, they're just continuing on. The lagoons took in over 200,000 gallons, which is average. We are looking at maybe changing out one of the aeration motors and blowers to try something different up there. So Kevin James has got some info on that. Got it to Carl and I.
what, you're changing it out just to try something different or because
Yeah,
it has a problem?
we're just continually struggling with the aerators, and we're not sure why. I mean, we know what's failing, but we don't know what the cause of the failing is. Does that make sense?
I think it's a manufacturer.
The seals are failing, and it's getting water into the motors, and we don't know if it's because of the way the design, whether or not there's grit getting in there, or we speculated it might be hair winding around it. I mean, there's a lot of different theories, but either way, they keep failing. They keep warranting them. But
That's a good thing.
When they want to, do they ever give you any indication of what?
no, and eventually they're gonna get tired of that. So
Yeah.
we're gonna try a couple of different design styles. And we just ordered 2 replacements. They're 5 horsepower instead of 3, so they're a little bit beefier, and a slightly different design. In that the motor is completely elevated above the water, whereas these other ones, the motor is submerged. And that might make a big difference.
Cool.
And, having a little bit more power. So we're gonna get those. They're a lot bigger. They're like 600 pounds versus,
I think the ones we have like are
20.
70 or 80, but they're kind of
Yeah.
bulky that you can't pick. I mean, you can pick it up by yourself, but just because of the width of them, you need 2
Yeah.
people, but they're
So,
not.
so we'll try those out and see if it makes a difference. I mean, we don't not having real problems with water quality, but if you go out there right now, you'll see that first cell. It's pretty chunky. There's a lot of grease floating in there, and and it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. I mean, it's all staying there, and the subsequent cells, each one gets a little bit cleaner. But it'd be nice to be able to break that up a little bit better.
Okay,
We got a vehicle to look out front, and then 4 of the guys joined City of Medford staff and we did a little pump rebuild at the city shops yesterday, and that went really well. So they disassembled, took a pump apart and basically put it back together, with new bearings and stuff like that at the city shop. So we've done a little minor repairs on the pumps with like impellers and bearings, but this was kind of got to dig in deeper onto the seals and bearings of it. So it was a good experience for them.
that's cool.
And that's all I have to report.
Is that something that
Yeah.
Medford does on a consistent basis, is the repair on pumps?
I don't think so. I don't think they've ever, I think most of the time they just ship them out. So I don't know, this is the first time, we've done that with them. And so, Green Electric, they've done some pump repairs out on the highway. And
Yeah.
then besides them, you have to go to like Fisher RPM or go back to the manufacturer, so you have to send the pumps out. So I don't know, and sometimes when you go to Green, it can take 4 months
Is
before
that
you
something
can.
you're looking at down the road where you might be able to do your own pump repair?
I think we could do our own pump repair. We've done some. If the seal fails and the water gets up into the electrical stuff, then it has to go in.
Yeah.
Because you have to do all the electrical winding and stuff like that. We can't do that.
Mhm.
But if the seal does fail, there is a little seal fail indicator inside the pump that sends out an alarm. If it gets to that point, I've never tried it. You guys have never tried it, but now they know how to replace that little seal.
Cool.
And it, from what they reported, it doesn't seem very difficult. So we could order that seal and a whole rebuild kit for, I don't know the cost, but it's available. We could do that in-house. We got a press and stuff in the back. We
Cool.
could. So give it a shot when it comes time. Yeah.
I like it.
Do you know if any of the operators from the city members collection were at that training?
Yeah.
Okay,
But
it
you
wasn't
know,
just the treatment
So,
plant.
but what I got from Dave, one of the sales reps from Flight, and the guys, it was, so Chris Link, who works at the treatment plant, and Brent and Jeremy, they were probably the 3 most hands-on guys than all the city member guys. The sales guys said, and our guys were fighting to be more hands-on. One of the guys broke one of the bearing presses that the city had, but they were using a little cast iron. We don't use cast
Oh.
because it just broke. But they had fun and they were involved and got to learn a lot, so
Cool.
worked out well.
It seems like over the years, a lot of our guys like that hands-on stuff.
Mhm.
They like to play with things and fix them and innovate and stuff like that. That's cool. I like that.
Imagine your downtime with that pump, doing it in-house as opposed to sending it out somewhere. It's cut drastically.
Yeah,
As long as it doesn't get into the electrical side of stuff, I think we're good. We
Yeah.
can
yeah.
keep messing with it, yep.
Okay. Thank you, TJ. Hey, Carl?
All right, we did our consent agenda. On the staffing side, we have no vacancies. Too much in a row. Yeah. So we're doing good there. We already mentioned that, having Mike out here as a staff liaison, it's something we did before COVID, in the before times, and it was nice to have that, just. So, like I said, you get to see a face and Mike gets to go back to the other guys and say.
Lunch was great.
So, yeah, it's good to start doing that again. The CMOM report, I included that. I don't know if you had a chance to look through that, but that is just a very detailed statistical snapshot of who and what we are. And I like doing that. I mean, I like keeping track of a lot of that stuff. And, every now and then something will pop up and you'll say, it'll catch you a little bit by surprise. And Kay mentioned about, our population, estimated population served. And you can see that, it went down for a couple of years, and that was the Almeida fire and COVID and everything really put a damper on, so a lot of our customers were hurting at that time. Couple of things I just wanted to highlight. On the section that talks about blockages, we haven't had a spill in 5 years. In our core area, we haven't had anything in the last 5 years. Unicode, nothing in the last 5 years. We've got 2 relatively minor incidents in Gold Hill in that time frame. So it's a pretty tight system. It is kind of the nature of the beast that these things are going to happen, and we try to keep them as infrequent as we can. So when we talk about spill, just keep that in mind. It's been 5 years since we've had anything. And then some of the stuff that I like to look at, I don't know why, but on the financial side, on the financial page, where we talk about operating costs, that's on section 14. But I always calculate how much it costs us to operate our system based on a mile of pipe and our total ERUs. And I used to go through other cities' budgets. I would go through Medford's budget, Nashville's budget, to try to see how we compare to that. I kind of stopped doing that. We're a little bit cheaper than Medford, not a whole lot, maybe 20% cheaper. We're probably about half what Ashland is on those same measures. And it's pretty consistent. I mean, Annually, it costs us, around $100 plus or minus to operate our system per equivalent residential. And I think if you compare that anywhere else, we come out looking pretty good there. And then the other thing on the same page there where we talk about the cost of operating treatment, I also did that for ERU, and I did it for the core area, which is based on the money we paid in Medford and then Shady Cove and Gold Hill. And the numbers, it's kind of surprising. I mean, it's not surprising, but it's glaring that the regional plant is half the cost of what it costs us to operate Shady Cove per customer. That's why regionalism is good. And it's like 5 times smaller than what Gold Hill costs.
Yeah.
And so these little plants, I mean, that's the tragedy of a lot of these little cities is they have these treatment plants that are really hard to afford. Whereas if you can get hooked into a regional system, it's just so much cheaper to operate a treatment plant at that scale. So I'd like to highlight that part of it. And the very bottom of it, I have a reinvestment rate where I take the amount of money we spent on rehabilitation projects and divide that by the total value of our system according to our funders. And, we're right around 3%, which means we're theoretically replacing our entire system almost every 33 years. So again, I think that's, it's a tiny little number at the bottom of the report, but there's a lot of weight behind that. And that's just an indication of the efforts that we put into keeping things good.
And keeping it good year after year after year after year. After year.
Yeah. Any questions about any of that?
Very comprehensive.
Yeah.
Good report.
Okay, the strategic plan. So as you know, we're in the process of updating our strategic plan, and I'm going to start probably next month getting you guys more involved in it. We're going to start with our SWOT analysis with the staff tomorrow, which is our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. But with our current strategic plan, we also use that as the basis for a performance incentive that we do every year. And we've of the 5 organizational values, we've assigned a maximum of $4,000 that we go into a pool for each one. And then we earn that by completing the tasks that are in our strategic plan. So for this year, we almost never get 100%. We don't expect to get 100% because if you set your goals, then you're going to get 100%. Yeah, if you get 100% on everything, you're just, you're going in the next grade. So, anyway, so for this year, what it all comes down to is a little over $16,000, which is, I think it's a little bit, is it less than last year? I can't remember. It's close to what last year's was. And then what we do is in December, we divide that amongst all the staff, and it's, it's adjusted based on seniority, so the folks that have been here longer have a slightly higher percentage of that than the folks that have been here a shorter time. And it comes up to around $300 or $400 a person, which is kind of a nice little Christmas present. Yeah. So that's where we are there. Ashland number 2 pump station. We are doing a solar power project there. We have the contract signed with True South Solar. We just got the work order from Pacific Power. They need to change our supply from a 240 volt to a 208 volt service because that's what's compatible with the solar. So once they get that part finished, then they'll get the panels installed, and then it's there. So that's moving along on schedule. In Shady Cove, we have the amendment to the franchise agreement. Basically, we had the issue of they hadn't been collecting the right amount. They hadn't been certifying. We got them to certify. That part's taken care of. It was like $92,000. of unpaid sewer bills over the last 3 years that just got certified. But then they pointed out that we hadn't been giving them as much money as they're supposed to get. Because our agreement says that the administration fee gets adjusted by 3% every year. So between all of it, we kind of came to the conclusion that it's a wash. Let's just not mess around with it anymore and call everything good and start from here and move forward. So that's what this next.
I think Shady Cove was another educational opportunity.
Yeah, and it's good to kind of get things up to the surface, clean everything off, and know that we're doing it right moving forward.
Right.
So far they've been really good about sending us notices when they send the money over and that sort of thing. So that's all working right. They're billing the right amount. The certification should start rolling in here in a couple of months.
Because now both sides probably have checks and balances in place, so to make sure everything's going.
Yeah.
So that, I think I was supposed to bring that in to get it signed.
I was gonna say, I didn't do anything for you, so.
I have it, and we can do it, get the actual signature on next month. I'll make sure I have it so you can see it in advance, but that's the gist of it. Jacksonville, still moving forward on that, and I think everything's moving smoothly so far. That in December we'll switch things over to ours, and we're trying to do this all coincident with us changing our Springbrook billing software from the on-site to the cloud-based. So it's all going to mesh together beautifully. Carol will make sure of that.
Yeah.
No pressure. Gold Hill transition. The only thing left to do is to figure out what happens with their USDA loan. And so we're in the process of trying to get them to transfer that loan obligation to us. We just got a message recently, last couple of days, that they wanted a letter or something, some work from a bond counsel
To transfer.
to transfer.
You have to
this.
rewrite
Anyway,
it.
so Gold Hill has been working with a bond counsel before, and I told them, let's have that same person do this next step for them, and just they'll bill it to us instead of to them.
Meanwhile, with this USDA, are they making the month, because there's monthly payment?
It's annual, but they
Oh,
did,
it's
yeah,
annual,
they had a payment in August, and they made that payment, so the next payment's not until next August. So,
Okay, so they're up to date on their
yes,
payments.
everything is
Okay.
current there, and I guess we have like 9 or 10 months to sort it out before the next one's due, so.
Okay,
And we have a meeting with them this afternoon also, so we'll get more detail on that, but I think everything's, we still don't have a real good sense of what they're going to end up deciding. And we still may say this is their default and you guys gotta pay it all off, so. We'll see. The transition on PERS, I haven't surveyed everybody yet on what their opinions are on the staff level, but I'm gonna do that tomorrow. So by next month, I'll have a good sense of what people want to do, and we'll, I guess, make our decisions based on that. Sewer spill. So let's talk about that a little bit. So the Eagle Point pump station, it was built in 95, 96, something like that. And it's big, it's a whole city goes through it, it's 70 horsepower pumps. There's two 14-inch force mains that run along Highway 62 from Eagle Point to White City. And on 2 weeks ago, Friday, one of the air release valves failed. And apparently, what we understand is that it failed somewhere around 6 o'clock the previous night. On Friday, what was it, 6th? We didn't know about it until 8:30 the next morning, was the first report we got. And it was weird from the start because the answering service called me directly which is not the normal procedure. They're supposed to call the person assigned on call. And she told me that, she didn't know who was on call, so she wanted to find out who it was. I said, just give me the information, I'll contact them. So I called the on-call phone number, and Alan Furnish, odds are he's gonna be the guy on call. He takes most of them. But, so and the report was, it came from the state police dispatch that there was a sewer spill at the intersection of Highway 62 and Crystal, I'm sorry. Yeah, Crystal. And it didn't make sense to me because we don't have any sewer there. We have sewer near there, and if there's a spill there, that means it's coming, another block from town. So I called Alan, I told him that, and told him, go out and investigate it, but he did, and it was at Shasta, not Crystal. So that's where our force main is, and so that call came to me about 8:30. Alan probably took about 10 or 15 minutes to get there, and it took probably another 30 or 40 minutes to get more people out there to actually start doing stuff. By about 11 o'clock, we had to stop. It took us a little bit longer than I think it should have. And the main reason for that, and I'm going to take the blame for that, because the valves that isolate the air release valve, they were like quarter turn PVC plug valves, which is not really standard for public works applications. It works, but the valve wrenches that we have are standard. Usually it's like a 2-inch square nut on top of the valve. You drop that down and you turn it. And this, it wouldn't work on this. And so when they were trying to, and they didn't know when they were, because they couldn't see it because it was under 6 feet of water. So they were trying to turn it. They managed to get one of them turned. And then working on the other one, it just took a long time. And eventually we ended up digging it down almost all the way down and pumping it down. And I think Matt just got fed up and reached his arm down in there and closed it. But it took longer, and the reason, I'm going to fault myself on that for 2 reasons. One is I drew the detail 20 years ago. But the other thing is, when we do inspections, and we have it on our special inspection to go and check all the air valves, and but we never really laid out what we want them to check. And if we were just, and it's kind of, if we were just doing a normal thing where we were just exercising the valves, which is kind of a normal maintenance thing, they would have known that it was a different type of valve. They would have been prepared for that. And as it was, we kind of had to scramble. TJ remembered that we had a key that worked on them, and he remembered where it was leaning against the fence, but it wasn't there. But so, that cost us probably an hour, that we didn't have to do. The crews responded excellent. Everybody we called came out. We ended up with about, 10 or 12 people responded to that. We were able to keep most of it in the roadside ditch, but a lot of it did get down into a farm pond, which is nasty also because they had this tiny, big as this room, and they had 6 bulls in it. Not just cows, they were full-on bulls. So, so you're going to have high bacteria there no matter what. But we didn't help anything by discharging some sewer in there. Probably some of it did make it into Little Butte Creek. I don't think a whole lot. We notified all the neighbors. Nick talked to some of them the day as it was happening. We sent out letters or we went to their houses and handed them letters afterwards explaining what happened. We offered to do well tests if anybody wanted it. So far, no one's taken us up on that. It seems like they're not too concerned. We went out and did some bacteria testing, and as expected, it was really high. Went back and did it a second time. It was still high, but lower, and we're probably going to do it again one more time next week or the week after.
What I liked is you personally went to the houses. Yeah, you had a letter, but you went and you tried to make personal contact.
Most of that's because my hands are soft. I can't really do anything outside. I can talk to people. That's
Keep your hands soft.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of the homeowners made a comment of, you guys doing a whole lot better than Shady Cove Water, so I don't know. But it's a fact. But, and I brought this in because I want to show you, what we're dealing with, which is, it's kind of like the O-rings on the space shuttle.
Oh, we know how well those work.
So one tiny little thing causes a huge dilemma. But basically, so the air release valve, when you got a force main, just kind of talk engineering a little bit. If you have the potential to get air in the line, it'll accumulate at the high points. And you want to get it out of there because it affects your flow. And so you put in these air relief valves, and the way they work, I'm strong enough to hold it.
When you said it was like a toilet.
So yeah, it's a lot like that. So
Yeah.
there's kind of a bell-shaped housing, and this sits like this, and this part is attached here. So when the water rises, it closes.
Like that.
When the water drops, it drops down, air comes out. So this broke.
Yeah.
This was not connected. So this broke off. So it was staying open. And you would think when the water's flowing, it would push it, but it didn't. And that's the part that really throws us off, because somehow something must have got stuck up in it. We don't know what it was, but it's something that simple. That little teeny piece of plastic caused 10 guys to work 10 hours overtime and lost 50,000 gallons of sewage. So we're gonna replace that, but we're also going to kind of change our protocol a little bit. So when we do our annual inspections, we're going to take them apart and just make sure everything's working there.
Could have that cracked first before it completely broke? So if you did,
I don't know if you would have noticed anything. It's hard to say if it was like a sudden failure or if it was starting to go slowly, but
that's true. Especially if something got stuck in there, maybe. Yeah. Yeah,
and if there's a rock or something in there, you'll find that. But anyway, so we'll make some changes there. The one at Eagle Point, like I said, there's two force mains. They had them both manifolded into a single air valve. So we're going to separate them and have dedicated air valve for each force main. So it makes it easier to isolate and we're gonna color code everything so we know. Because we've got valves, we can open one and close the other and things like that. But we're not sure which valves go to, the air valves, we don't know which line's going to which force main. So
you're gonna find out.
That was one of the things we tried to do, is we tried to go and close off one of the force mains and see if we could mitigate it somewhat that way. But by the time we got where the valves are cleared out, we had already stopped it up at where it was kind of spilling. So there's just a lot of little things that can go wrong and cause really big troubles. I guess that's it. And that's like I said, that's kind of the nature of the beast. And the problem with these air valves is a lot of it is, they say they're maintenance free. But it's kind of an out of sight, out of mind. I mean, you don't notice them a lot. You don't pay a lot of attention to them, and until something like this happens.
Is the top of that blue tank, that white thing, is that what kind of material is that? Is that like a rubber?
It's not. It's kind of rigid. You'd think it would be a little bit more. I mean, it's plastic, but it's hard. It's rigid. And then the piece that came off of that, is that? Oh, it's right here. Yeah. So, I mean, you can see where it broke.
Oh, yeah.
Was that, I mean, I don't know if you could see that, if you're taking it apart, if it's just a little bit cracked or not, but it's.
Is it like ceramic?
It's not, it's plastic. I mean, yeah.
Dry.
So, Yeah, I don't know, it's,
Petrified.
that's, obviously a weak point.
I thought there was more rubber bumper on the top. Plastic piece.
So that, on this,
Yeah, because you can see that little, those little.
yeah, there's something that looks like it was, that it's gone.
Yeah,
it was between here, yeah. So,
So when the plug gets higher, it closes the valve off.
Yeah.
The pressure's released. as-
yeah, so I mean, this is hollow, so this floats, and the water gets above it, it just pushes it up and closes it. And with this broken off, obviously can't do that. But you would think that the flow of the water would have pushed it, was, not. It definitely was not. Because it was really coming out of there.
That's the size of the one, is that the one that failed?
That's the one that failed, yes. So, TJ's ordering some replacements on that. We actually went out, we have very few of these. We've got on the Dunn pump station, we have 2 force mains there too. We have 3 air valves on each one. And then we have 1 pump station, West Gregory, where we put in an air valve. So we went out and we looked at all of those. And actually we've come to the conclusion that on the Dunn force main, 2 of the 3 are unnecessary. So we're gonna take them out. And I don't know why they're there. We've been puzzling trying to figure out why, because they're supposed to be at high points, and these are not. One's on a flat grade and one's on a rising grade. Doesn't make sense. So we'll take those out and line flange them. So that won't be an issue again. And then the ones on Eagle Point, we're going to rebuild them. So that's our plan. Like I said, we're going to be a little bit more detailed in our annual inspections, so that we're going to be actually taking the tops off of them, looking at the guts and making sure, because you can replace the insides. I mean, you don't have to replace the whole valve. You can get rebuilt kit to just replace the parts on the inside. So we'll be a little bit more proactive about that. Not have this issue again. That's the thing, they catch us by surprise sometimes. And once we figure out what it was, we realize it was something really seemingly insignificant, and then we fix it.
So how often have you seen something like this happen?
Never.
So there's no need to keep 2 or 3 pumps stacked up somewhere for emergencies, basically.
Oh, no, you don't need it. Yeah, I mean, we might get, I don't even know if we would bother getting spare internal parts. I mean, we might want to get 1 or 2 sets of spares, but it's, these are, how old are these? These are probably 20 years old, 25 years old.
I think this one was, I don't know, Travis, we did some work on this one at some point in 2010 or 11, because Travis remembered. We made a modification. I can't remember why we did it, but we did. So.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, if it's a matter of replacing the internal parts every 10 years or so, that's not a big deal.
Can I ask?
Yeah.
TJ, so I have done almost everything in my lifetime. But I remember one of the things I did was working for heating and air conditioning. And when we went out and worked on a unit, we always wrote down what it was exactly and why for parts and who did it and what's up. Do we do that for our stuff? So like when we work on something like that, we know why we did it?
Nick and I were talking about that because we don't even know, like we need to go to the air leaf house catalog, what model. Like GPS it, put it in our maps. Because I mean, there's guys that drive by that and you know, like, oh, that manhole is an air relief valve. That's our air relief valve.
Yeah.
But as far as like getting the actual model number, get a catalog, put it on the app, on our SV map, so if we did have a problem, we can actually look and see.
Yeah,
order parts and know what model it is just by looking at our map. So I think,
That was one of the first things my mind went to was, cataloging this, it's almost like it has built drawing, keeping our records up to date, because over the years, I came into RVS not too long ago, about since I Michael, but the one thing we really had really good records on, granted it was all handwritten, kind of card catalog sort of stuff, was
Yeah.
all of our step systems, so
Yeah,
that's what it takes. And I mean, every time somebody would go out there to do an inspection, it was written down and cataloged. And then we took all that information and actually put it into one of our GIS maps. And so we're taking that by hand system and adapting it to a bunch of stuff. The step systems in Esri, as well as you can kind of see some of the stuff up there that our stormwater crew was going through, and we're going to adapt kind of the same living kind of history of a lot of things we inspect over time in our Esri program, so our GIS program, we're going to do the same thing. So we'll have them all surveyed out there, and then you can click on a point. And then along with that point, you can have pictures, so somebody can go in there and look at the pictures, so the guy on the field can click on it. Be like, oh, there's a valve there, we can turn it off.
yeah, because that's so much cooler than what I had back in the day. But still, it's nice to have that information,
Yeah.
because sometimes it can help cut down on the time and cost on looking at something or fixing something. So that's cool.
Yes, yeah, we've been making a big effort over the last, 5 or more years.
Yeah, I figured.
Working with the GIS, so, and you're taking it in bite sizes, so we have like, whenever.
It's a lot to do.
Yeah, whenever we flush a TV line, they put it on the app and we keep that record of the TV the same, and like Nick said, with our step and stag systems, we've got that now with our pump stations. That's what we're working on, the stormwater stuff we're working on. So it's getting better, and it's and that's why we have 2 GIS people now. So yeah, so that is something that we're going to have more of moving forward and have a better record. But like I said, I mean, we didn't spend a lot of time on these.
Well, like TJ said,
Yeah.
we worked on it, back in 2010 or 11. Okay, that's 14 years, that's a while.
Yeah, I even I talked to the rep about the rebuild kits and, because if you did an annual inspection, how often would you just put the rebuild kit in? And he said, I can't put a number on it. I mean, we have these in the ground that people haven't looked at them in 10 years. So there's no, like this particular model, they no longer make. So it's a D23, now it's a D26. So we have to upgrade the valve. But if we had spare parts, if we buy the 26 in 10 years, they might have a new model out. Or,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like he's like,
So yeah. But what I mean by that, I mean, you worked on it back then and it didn't give you any problems until just now, Anyway. Cool.
Okay. Questions more on that? All right, so
I have one. When you do a report to DEQ, do you hear anything back from them on these type of things? And if you do,
usually they'll call back and say, yeah, sounds like you're doing everything right. Yeah, carry on. I mean,
okay, good, yeah. Just say thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, unless it's a complete catastrophe, there's no investigation or anything like that.
No. No, I mean, if it's something that looks like if it's at a treatment plant and it becomes like a permit violation, then they'll give us, they'll send us a letter saying, whatever you did, here's your credits. But for something like this, I mean, they understand. I mean, they know this is going to happen, and they're happy that we let them know, and they're happy that we were on it and got it cleaned up as quick as we did.
Okay.
So I think, after we can go ahead and finish the meeting, and I've got that 15-minute video on public meetings laws, which is.
Yeah, I thought we could go ahead and do the claims
Yeah.
and then anybody that wanted to do the training video, we can do that, but let's have a motion for the claims first.
I'll make a motion to pay the claims.
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Pete Harrison.
Yep.
Roger Tone.
Yes.
Mike Parsons.
Yes.
John Edwards.
Yes.
John Quinn.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right.
So-
We can go ahead and adjourn. I don't know if this has to be part of the meeting. We can adjourn.
I think I can go ahead and adjourn it, and then we get whoever's staying for the video. You can do the video. I'm staying. I like to laugh at it.
Are we gonna look at the camera truck?
Oh, we can
We're gonna do what?
look at the camera truck.
Oh, yeah. We're gonna do that right now, or?
Sure. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Fun stuff first.